Ladies and gentlemen, whether you like Sifuna or not, there is one truth you must accept: that the man has been very consistent when it comes to opposing the broad-based government. Sifuna, if I'm to take you back, started opposing William Ruto so vehemently immediately the elections were done. That is the elections of 2022. He's one of the very few politicians who threatened to leave this country should William Ruto be elected. The question we want to answer in this video, now that it is established that Sifuna has consistently opposed any working relations between ODM and Kenya Kwanza, what we want to answer in this video is, what is the real reason why he's doing this? And to help us get started, we begin with what Sifuna himself is saying. Then I'll share with you what I believe is actually the real reason and back it with facts. If that is a topic that interests you, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. And if you do find value from our videos, consider subscribing. Also, don't forget to like and share this particular video. Like I said, Sifuna has consistently opposed any working relations between William Ruto and ODM. Even when Raila Odinga was still alive, Sifuna did not shy away from criticizing the broad-based government. As far as Sifuna goes, Ruto should have been overthrown when the so-called Gen Zs went to the street around 2024 June. And since that did not happen, Sifuna believes it was just postponed that William Ruto should not occupy office. To quote him during one of his many interviews, Sifuna said that they don't even need an agenda to tell Kenyans. That telling Kenyans that William Ruto has to go is an agenda enough to get them into power. Sifuna has also plainly and publicly been seen lamenting that Rigathi Gachagua is making it difficult for them to join the opposition by labeling them as William Ruto's moles. So he is not hidden his desire to work against William Ruto. In fact, I dare say Sifuna has no problem if ODM was to split into many pieces, as long as it denies William Ruto a party to work with. So what are the reasons the man from Bungoma gives? Well, Sifuna is prominently sharing two reasons as to why he doesn't like Ruto. Number one, he argues that William Ruto does not share in the ideals of ODM. I want to repeat that. Sifuna is insisting that the main reason why he is not supporting ODM to work with William Ruto is because William Ruto does not share the ideals of ODM. That the UDA that William Ruto leads and ODM are like oil and water when it comes to ideology. Okay, that is what he gives. In fact, if you've listened to Sifuna, he has made it clear that there is no problem working with other people. He said, we can talk to some people, but there are people we can't talk to. In fact, that is what Nasir, the deputy party leader of ODM, was reacting to in Mombasa when he gave the speech, who are you to tell us who to talk to and who not to talk to? Sifuna had said that even if they are to talk to any other person in reference to a coalition agreement come 2027, it can't be with William Ruto. It can't be with a party he leads. It can't be with Ruto's team. Because, remember, they differ ideologically. The things William Ruto pursue, the vision of William Ruto is 100%, according to Sifuna, different from what ODM would have pursued. Well, I'll come back to that and see whether it is true. The second reason Sifuna is giving is that William Ruto's hands are full of blood, that William Ruto killed the Gen Zs, and there is no way under the sun he can work with a leader under whose regime Kenyans have lost lives. That is Sifuna for you. And so these two reasons are the ones Sifuna is sharing. And on this, he has consistently opposed William Ruto and any attempt by ODM to work with William Ruto. Let us examine these first, whether they make sense. First, when Sifuna says that they have ideological differences with UDA, all you have to do is look at their manifesto moving into 2022. ODM manifesto is public, the one that they launched as Azimio, and so is the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza. Go and check, compare those manifestos, and tell me how much they differ. Just as an example, the manifesto of ODM had exactly how to do affordable housing. I am saying including levies. In fact, the current PS for housing, Hinga, was brought into this country by none other than Raila Odinga from South Africa to oversee affordable housing program. And Sifuna had no issues with that. When Hinga was pushing affordable housing program under Uhuru, before Uhuru abandoned it, Sifuna had no issues with that at all. After all, it was something that Raila Odinga was supporting. Now, when Raila Odinga is supporting the same affordable housing under William Ruto, Sifuna now says they differ ideologically. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the hypocrisy that knows no shame. It is sad that is the nature of our politics, but at times we need to call it out. At times I call it unnecessarily being hypocritical, because who doesn't know that the manifesto of ODM and that of UDA are almost identical? And so when you go before people and tell them that the reason as to why you don't support William Ruto is because you differ ideologically, that is just taking a sad joke too far. Unfortunately, he has people who are listening to that and buying into it. But the truth is, there is no ideological differences between Sifuna and Ruto. In fact, if it is a matter of ODM, then the other day Sifuna was reminded that it is William Ruto and Raila Odinga and Mudavadi who co-founded ODM. And that Raila Odinga, that Mudavadi, that William Ruto were working in broad-based government to pursue same goals, same ideologies. So when Sifuna comes to you and says that ODM's ideologies are so different from that of Kenya Kwanza, he is simply lying. Is just being hypocritical, is looking for an excuse. A sad excuse, but an excuse nonetheless. Let's move to Sifuna's second reason. William Ruto's hand is full of blood. He cannot, in good conscience, work with a leader under whose regime Kenyans have lost their lives. I want to remind you, esteemed viewers, that Sifuna did not join politics in 2022. In fact, Sifuna has been the SG for ODM for now 8 or more years. It means when we went into the elections of 2017, Sifuna was the SG of ODM. That means that when ODM was claiming Luo genocide in 2017, Sifuna was the SG. He didn't just join the leadership recently. He was there. When Uhuru Kenyatta was baptized, a red-eyed murderer, somebody who was carrying a genocide in Luoland. That is what they were saying in 2017, if you are there. Sifuna was there. Yet when Raila Odinga greeted the same Uhuru Kenyatta, Sifuna never uttered a single word of protest. There is no record of Edwin Sifuna, and I dare you to find me one, of Edwin Sifuna criticizing Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga for shaking hands. Remember, just a few months they had called Uhuru Kenyatta somebody who was carrying out genocide in Luonyans. You remember when they were trending Luo Lives Matter? When ODM people were accused of downloading photos from internet to run their narrative? That time, ladies and gentlemen, Sifuna was no less than ODM SG. And I repeat here, when Raila Odinga greeted the red-eyed murderer Uhuru Kenyatta, as they called him, Sifuna did not register his protest. Not at all. The man was loyal. The man was quiet. So it can't be that all of a sudden, Sifuna now has principles that if Kenyans were to unfortunately lose their lives under your regime, you can never work with him. That can't be true. Two, when Rigathi Gachagua was still the deputy president, and William Ruto was out of the country and Rigathi Gachagua was in charge, remember when he would go to the office very early to deal with the Azimio people, the likes of Sifuna would read press conferences castigating the head of police and Rigathi Gachagua for using excessive force and killing demonstrators. But today, Sifuna wants you to believe that, no, Rigathi Gachagua is clean and ideologically aligned with them. So if you were to give him a choice between working with William Ruto, he would rather work with the Rigathi scum, because those ones are clean. Their hands do not have blood. Under their leadership, no Kenyan was killed. He wants you to believe that. And that is another case of unnecessary hypocrisy. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I was telling you is the two reasons Sifuna gives are ridiculous at best. They are told to get him by. There are things that you can dismiss as long as you live in this country. You know they are lies. That leads us to the next part of this video. So, now that we have exposed Sifuna's hypocrisy, why is this man so much against William Ruto? Well, there are two theories. One is about Sifuna's political future. Sifuna, I have told you, has not been in elective politics for long. In fact, in 2022, he was elected for the first time. He had tried to be elected but failed. In fact, there was a time he went to Kandui to participate in a nomination for an MP post. He was still the Secretary General, and he failed miserably. It was so bad that when he came to Nairobi, Raila Odinga had to find a way of giving him direct ticket to vie as the Senate for Nairobi. Sifuna did not compete with anyone for the senatorial ticket for Nairobi. He simply was handed over, what I call affirmative action. You have an SG who cannot even win in his home area. So you give them a ticket so that they could be elected purely based on the masses of the party. And that is how Sifuna was elected to Senate. He knows that. And that is why when Raila Odinga showed signs he's not going to vie again, Sifuna started rebelling. Sifuna started rebelling because if that Raila Odinga was not going to have a say on who becomes senator or who gets the ticket, then Sifuna was doomed. So I'm just saying that he got worried about his political future. He doesn't see himself gaining anything if he's stuck with a Raila who is supporting Ruto. If Raila Odinga was vying, then it makes sense. That is why you've had Sifuna pushing a narrative that we are supposed to have a candidate. He believed that they could convince Raila Odinga to bolt out and vie come 2027. That way, he could still get direct ticket to vie as senator. That is one possible reason why Sifuna is against Ruto. He feels like William Ruto is the one who convinced Raila not to vie, hence jeopardizing his political future. He can't forgive him for that. 2 is about grudge. It is said that when the broad-based government was being formed, and this is in public domain by even insiders, Sifuna hoped that he was going to be picked as a CS. In fact, Didmas Baraza did a long interview detailing the nature of bargain Sifuna had. He believed he was one of the people whose names were to be taken to be nominated as ministers. And so when that did not happen, Sifuna decided, mkimwaga kitoweo na mwaga unga. Everybody must now lose. And to support this, you've seen how Sifuna is very hostile to the ministers from ODM. Badi, Pia Wandai, especially those, Sifuna has been extremely hostile to them. Very hostile. Perhaps it is because one of them either took his post, what he believed he was going to get. Also, you have to put yourself in Sifuna's shoe. You see, when Raila Odinga was handing over the names of people to work with Ruto, he literally handed over the leadership of ODM to William Ruto. The chairperson was handed over. 2 deputy party leaders were handed over. The minority leader in parliament was handed over. A member of NEC was also handed over. According to Sifuna, the Secretary General should have also been there. If you're handing over the leadership, if you're giving the leadership of ODM, rewarding them to work as cabinet members, why exclude Sifuna? So perhaps that grudge still sticks. And so Sifuna is like, William Ruto must fail. I've seen that in politics, ladies and gentlemen. There are people who expect certain appointments. Could give an example with Kate Waruguru. Kate was very vocal pro-Ruto, and she had been named as one of the CS. Then that position was abolished. And what did she do? Kimani Ngunjiri of Nakuru, what did they do? And so many others. Most of them, those who were expecting this position, didn't get it, turned against William Ruto. It is normal in politics. So Sifuna sulking and having issues is normal. He is a human being. If he felt that he was bypassed, he has the right to overreact. If he believes that William Ruto's working with ODM does not give him a chance to get the affirmative action, he is right to fight. Sifuna is, in my opinion, is right to fight for his political survival. What is not right is him pretending that it is something else. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where Sifuna goes wrong. I have repeated on this channel that it is very okay to be selfish. Every one of us, in one way or the other, is selfish. What is wrong is pretending that you are honorable when you are not. Pretending that you are doing this on basis of principles when you are not. That is the kind of politics we must stop. If we want Kenya to grow, we must stop the politics of hypocrisy. There is one thing I like about Rigathi Gachagua. Whereas I disagree with his approach and how militant he is, Rigathi Gachagua is not hiding that he is a bitter man. Yes, he's not. In fact, everybody who looks at Rigathi Gachagua or listens to him knows that he's a very bitter man. He doesn't hide it. Even if you call him to an interview, he will be very bitter. He will say virtually everything that a bitter man would say. He is like William Ruto kicked me out of job. Of course, at the times when he feels like that sounds bad, he pretends that he wanted out anyway. But Rigathi would not run away from saying, I am bitter and my goal is to punish William Ruto, use the Mount Kenya people, vote William Ruto out just to get my revenge. Is that petty? That is why even when he's asked, what will you do? He says that if I was to be elected president, all I will do is to come there and destroy everything that William Ruto has put up. It is crude, it is raw, but it is true. That is who he is. So you know who you are dealing with. You know that I'm dealing with somebody who is bitter, who has no agenda, who just want to revenge. Fine. But Sifuna wants you to believe that he is doing this on purposes of principle, that, oh, William Ruto and ODM does not share ideologies. Which ideologies are these that Sifuna has that William Ruto doesn't have? The same ODM that Raila Odinga handed over to Ruto literally. If you are to go by the list of the people that were handed over to work with Ruto, the leadership of ODM was handed over to Ruto. Why? If they differ in ideologies. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that. So those are the kind of hypocrisy that we need to call out. As for Sifuna, he has the right to throw the dramas and do all these things. His political future may be threatened. It's okay. But he should not waste Kenyans' time by pretending that he's doing this purely based on noble cause. That because he's a gentleman, that because he's an honorable person, somebody principle. Is not. I have told you, when bodies were being found in Rivayala, you see this Sifuna who hates all these things, was all over there, quiet, extremely quiet. He's only vocal when his political future is threatened or when he's not given what he expected. But otherwise, if things are going the way he wants, Sifuna is okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is what I wanted to tell you. If you found value in this video, let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. Otherwise, if you want to know the real reason why James Orengo, Governor for Siaya, is so against William Ruto, watch this video.